Hello, welcome to the HatchetJob.com gaming netcast, and I'm here with the digital Danjo.
Hello.
That seems like a cop-out, doesn't digital, saying digital on a gaming show. It's rubbish, that is. And
I liked it.
I'm here with the... Is there any synonym for homeless beginning with S starts?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Salubrious.
No, that's healthy, though.
Oh. Is he healthy?
I feel fine.
Let's go with that.
The salubrious starts. And Danjo, you've been playing Castlevania on the Xbox.
Yeah, it's a Castlevania HD. I forget what the H and D stands for now, because I think they already did an HD prior, didn't they?
Is it Castlevania...
Heart of Darkness.
Higher Diploma?
Yes, it is. It's both of those things, and more.
Yeah.
But I think it's also supposed to mean high definition, in that you can zoom out and see the entire Castlevania world at once, in which case it does actually look HD. Now, when you're playing at a actually usable zoom level, it doesn't look very high definition at all. But I don't care about these things.
It's a bitmap game, right?
Yeah.
So it's scaling. Does it look blurry pretty much all the time?
Well, no, they didn't blur it out at all. If you ever played the Symphony of the Night that came out on arcade, they took the old PlayStation one and they smeared some Vaseline on it, so it was blurry.
Right.
This is just like, nope, we're going to render the pixels as pixel art, and so it looks great to me. I like that style. And then, of course, you can zoom out to where like a pixel on an HD TV is a pixel of the art, which is just perfect, right? But not so playable because your dude is like then an inch tall on a giant TV, and it's just kind of cool. But no, I think this kind of got slammed in general by just about everybody, and I don't really understand why, because it's a Castlevania game. You get to play it multiplayer, and there's no story, which I consider a plus. Because it's frickin' Castlevania. They don't have good stories, or even passable or adequate stories. And then there's a 30-minute time limit on every level, but that hasn't come up for us really. When we've been playing, it's like, oh, this is about how long it takes, and it's meant to be replayed as like you keep playing it, you get better equipment, you get better skills, that kind of thing. And every character pulls their kind of I don't want to say leveling, but kind of like leveling from the ways those characters did in their own games. So all the characters behave in a different way. Like one girl pulls new spells from other enemies as they use them, and then as she uses them, those spells get better. And one guy gets better weird different attacks that show up as drops. And of course Alucard's leveling his spells and then picking up better weapons and shields and that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of neat that there's a pretty big disparity in how these characters work, and so that kind of adds to the replayability. But yeah, just to run through from beginning to end, it's like, yeah, okay, well, this was Castlevania, but we've been having a lot of fun going through it over and over and over again.
So when you say picking up abilities, is there an RPG aspect to this?
It's persistent.
Right.
So in a level, when I get a better sword, that all of my characters now have access to that better sword.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what you mean by RPG. That term is pretty pointless now.
When I say RPG, I mean generally a game in which you get experience points and allocate them to different parts of yourself, and you also get to combine armors and sword and weapons in a different way. So in Symphony of the Night, as far as I can remember, there was definitely combining things and figuring out what worked best in what situation. And I think there were also experience points, but maybe they were just kind of handled for you.
They're handled for you. Okay. And I believe for Alucard, who's the guy from Symphony of the Night, that's happening. But for other characters, from the games they're coming from, it didn't work like that, so it doesn't work like that for them. It just depends on what character you're playing. And I don't think anybody has any allocation of points. It's more of a, shift your armor around, choose this weapon instead. Or maybe in some cases, like I know one of the girls, she's got access to a list of spells. She can only use, I think 4 of them at a time, like equipped, and the ones that she uses gets better. I think the answer to that is kind of no. And it doesn't really have that kind of Metroid, oh, you've gotten to this part of the game, now you have, now we unlock the bomb ball or whatever. It's more randomy.
I mean, is that the major complaint against the game then, right? It's sort of not Castlevania, it's not Metroidvania? I mean, that's
I don't know. I've always felt that kind of Metroidvania, like, oh, there's all these blue doors. You need your blue gadget, which we won't give you until this point, was very contrived and not necessarily annoying, but not a plus. So I don't miss it. But yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
I mean, that's the big break there. There's not a lot of games that do that all that much. So if you were looking forward to that type of thing, I could see you being disappointed.
Really? I think a lot of games do that. I mean, Batman did it. Batman was a Metroidvania.
Oh, was it?
I mean, a lot of the 3D games work that way, in some sense or another. I know that Dark. What was that game that came out around Christmas? Dark something.
Darksiders, right?
There you go. Aha! Yeah, that was a. I believe that was
sort of Zelda knockoff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's plenty of games like that. So I don't miss it that there's a single Castlevania that doesn't work like that.
It struck me as quite weird, Danjo, that they didn't update the characters. They just took the mechanics from the original game and plonked into this new one, which is why Alucard gets to do certain things, but these other characters don't.
And you're seeing that sounds bad to you.
I'm not saying it sounds bad. I find it unusual because this is a mainstream release trading on an established license, but for Xbox Live Arcade, and I presume it's on the PSN as well. But they are taking something that is specifically a retro gaming angle on it in doing that, in saying, okay, well, this is what it was like in the first game, and you remember this person from the first game, so obviously you wouldn't want to play them any differently now. Why would you?
Well, they've tweaked them. They've definitely tweaked them to an extent. I think that's partially to try to balance the characters, although I don't think they did a great job of balancing characters. I don't care. But yeah, so not everybody has like all of their abilities that they used to have. I know that from the game that has the character Soma, it's one of the DS games. He could collect, I think, an ability from every enemy type in the game. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And in this one, he still collects those abilities from every enemy, but it's a different set of enemies than from his game. So they had to come up with some new spells for him to use, and maybe take away some that used to be in his game but aren't in this game. So there's definitely tweaks in that area. But yeah, I agree, it's unusual. That's partially why I like it.
Is it basically a greatest hits?
That's hard for me to answer because I played Symphony of the Night. I played the DS game with Soma. Yeah. I think that's it. So I'm familiar with 2 of the characters out of 6, 5.
Sarts, how many Castlevania games have you played?
I've not played any of them. I don't really care for the setting. Visually, it's not my thing.
Okay, because I didn't finish it, but I had Castlevania on the Game Boy, and then I had Symphony of the Night. Then I played. Finished Symphony of the Night. I finished a 3D one on the Nintendo 64.
Wasn't that one terrible?
It was.
I don't know if it was amazing, but it was enjoyable enough because I like the Castlevania world, and I think I was hoping for some aspect or some feeling of reminiscing playing that I had from previous Castlevania games. Or specifically Symphony of the Night, because that's the one that I finished. But I find it odd, the starts, that you don't like the design.
Just visually, it's just sort of the gothic, dark style. It doesn't do anything for me. And I have a paranoid fear of vampires.
Really?
No. I like Metroid games. The actual, if you describe the gameplay to me, that sounds interesting. It sounds enjoyable.
Well, Castlevania has a cheesiness to its aesthetic that I don't think Metroid has.
Yeah, Metroid. I mean, I don't know if Metroid takes itself seriously, but it's just sort of there. It doesn't have Dracula. I don't know. I've downloaded demos and I boot them up, and it's just like, I can't watch this. I just can't look at it.
So I remembered another Castlevania game that I played, and that was one on the SNES, which I clocked in one night, which had amazing music on the Dracula level, as far as I can remember. Of course, when I go back and listen to that music on YouTube, it's not quite as good as I thought it was at the time. But I find it weird that I will not play games based on their theme, but generally I think I'll be pretty open at trying a game based on its art style. So how many game experiences have you kind of denied yourself because of their appearance?
Anime games I don't tend to play through anime very often. It just sort of looks kind of awkward. So we talked about Puzzle Strike, right? And Puzzle Strike has that sort of anime art style, and it just sort of turns me off. And I've been playing through The World Ends With You, and that's been okay. So that's sort of a rare anime game for me. But for the most part, Harvest Moon, I played a little bit of that, but the anime art style kind of Kind of turns me off.
In your head, and Danja, let me know what you think. Do you think that anime art styles basically map onto a certain type of storytelling and plot, or is it literally just the facade of it that you dislike?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a Pavlovian response there, right? I've tried that type of game enough to know that if it looks like this, it's probably going to have some bullshit about friendship and whatever, and that's going to turn me off a few hours into the game. But I mean, definitely, it looks kind of awkward. It's a little disappointing that all of Japan uses that rendering style for cartoons and video games, and disappointing.
I definitely agree that it feels like for something to be rendered anime style and be interesting and original and on an adult level is an outlier, right? Otherwise, it's like that kind of generic JRPG 12-year-old.
Right, and we have that. I mean, that exists in shooters and sci-fi, but that's just not the turnoff. I enjoy that type of stuff.
Do you think that Final Fantasy VII would work with the Max Payne engine?
You mean as a story?
So basically you take all these, the facade of these games, the JRPG, the ridiculous eyes and the stupid hair, get off my lawn, and then you just give them a different engine. So you get Robert, who's the Infinity Ward people, is it Vince Zampella or something? I don't know.
Yeah, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, their new company, they get given the Kingdom Hearts license, and all the mechanics are exactly the same, but the UI and all the graphics change.
Do they also get to rewrite the lines so they're not just retarded?
I don't know.
Also, plot points and characters.
Can they just make a different game?
Could you have Soap McTavish in Kingdom Hearts? What would that look like if he was just reading out those lines?
I never played Kingdom Hearts, so.
Well, neither have I. But
he'd be all about friendship. It would be a game about him and Price and the power of their friendship and how it helps them overcome obstacles, which kind of works.
Yeah, it does kind of work, and it's basically what they have already, except friendship in military games is displayed through a series of grunts and squatting motions.
Right. No, it'd be Soap and Price. I guess they'd be like eating ice cream, since that's all you pretty much do in Kingdom Hearts is eat ice cream.